This is a Bergen Film Club podcast.
Like an old movie removed from the frame, I am floating and looking for someone to blame. Won't you project me on the walls of your heart? I'm waiting for the real thing to start.
Hello, welcome to The Real Thing. I'm your host, Joe Lawrence. This podcast is an extension of Bergen Film Club, where we talk all about the films included in the Film Club's program, why they're cool, why we chose them, why you should see them, and why they're great. Today, joined by ex but not ex
Kinda.
board member, again, who's been on a previous episode where we talked about Brian De Palma. Welcoming back, Martin.
Hello, thank
Hey.
you so much for having me.
Yeah,
It's going to be fun. This is a topic I'm very fond of. Old classic books and adaptations, and yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So I was the head of finance, which is now Hans Christian, and I might stick around for some extra stuff in the
Yeah.
film club. Who knows?
I think your current title is just board member.
Yeah. Ambiguous.
Yeah. So I think we have a lot to get through.
Yeah.
I know at least that I have a lot to read.
I'm very hyped to hear you
Um,
talk about this.
So let's just jump in with, and it's been a really long time since I've done a normal episode.
Just sitting down and talking.
No, it's like I've been doing the trash.
Oh,
film
yes. Yeah,
episodes,
yeah.
And they're just like 20 minutes, so I've just been like blasting through them.
Oh.
So today I was looking forward to like really getting into
Yeah.
something.
Shit talking a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just did an episode on Neil Breen,
That's a lot of shit talk.
and I could have just talked about it.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, we always begin with some recommendations.
Mhm.
So you go.
I go.
first. Tell me what's been on your mind. What have you been watching? What should people enjoy?
I haven't watched a lot recently, but I'm thinking because of the theme, I want to do something based on adaptations, maybe a medium you can find in both books, films, TV, whatever. And I brought a series of books I'm very fond of, and
A lot of books.
a lot of books. Yeah,
Mm.
I think my favorite is probably Philip K. Dick's "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep,"
Mhm.
which is the basis for Blade Runner.
Yes,
Um,
a film that you like very, very much.
I like it very, very much. And both the book and the original movie and when it was remade in 2008, they all have their problems. But Blade Runner 2049 and the original asks very, very important questions that are incredibly topical today.
Mm.
So I can really recommend Philip K. Dick's short story. He wrote a shit ton of sci-fi short novels in the 60s. Total Recall was one of them. It's a very sweet short story where, opposed to Blade Runner, it focuses more on not the human relations, but what is something real in general. How do you, let's say, in the book, every single household has an animal
Okay.
as a sign of status. And your neighbors don't know if that animal, if it's an owl or a horse or whatever, or a dog, your neighbors don't know if that animal is real or not.
Oh.
Because having a real animal in this dystopian future is sign of status, money, etc. And it goes into, especially with the Rachel character also, if you can't tell a difference, is there a difference?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it portrays it in a very lovely, kind of embracing nature and humanity in a world set on technology,
Okay.
which is also what Dune points out. So I will recommend Philip K. Dick's "Do Android Dream of Electric Sheep."
Are you picking anything else from this big stack of books?
I love Akira.
Yes.
Looking at the comic right here.
Mhm.
Because the film also is a very weird adaptation of the book, because the film is first part of the first book and
Yeah.
last part of the sixth book,
Yeah. Mhm.
all muddled together. But Katsuhiro Otomo both wrote, drew, and directed the film,
Yeah. Wow.
so it still feels very true to itself, the film, and that is also 80s sci-fi about power and evil, and
Mhm.
same as Dune or Blade Runner. So Akira, Blade Runner book, And we're going to talk a bit later about Alejandro Jodorowsky and Jean Giraud, who goes under Mobius in the old Franco-Belgian comic world. And he did the art, which you're going to talk more on later. He did the art for Jodorowsky's Dune concept art together with H.R. Giger. And they have together a couple of books, and I can recommend The Incal, which is probably my favorite comic, up there with Akira, and The World of Idina, which is a lovely, youthful, I guess, explorative sci-fi comic about a couple of people who travel and discover themselves and the world and weird ass sci-fi stuff.
Ooh,
Yeah, very, very lovely stuff.
Okay.
So I guess that's my recommendations. Yeah.
Cool. Great. I feel like mine are a bit less big brain. But,
I came up with this 10 minutes ago. So
yeah. Have you ever seen? It was a Netflix series that got cancelled called The OA.
I love the OA. She's my original angel.
Yeah, but I think I've seen it 4 times. I think I've watched it because I love it. I love the worlds that they made. Britt Marling and Zal Batmanjali are incredible directors. They're incredible writers, but they have a new series.
They have
on Disney Plus called Murder at the End of the World, which I hate how it's described. It's like Gen Z sleuth, who's played by Emma Corrin. So they play this character who is sort of like a hacking wizard, and she is also like an amateur sleuth. So she is working really hard to like solve cold cases that have sort of like fell by the wayside because she doesn't want anyone to be forgotten. And then she's also kind of obsessed with Britt Marling's character, who was like this legendary hacker, until she got like dragged on the internet, and like, or like her address was leaked and she was like defamed. But then she's recently come back into the public eye because she married Elon Musk, basically. And it ends, or at least the first episode is she and a bunch of other like very intelligent people are all invited to Iceland to have this like week together. And it's very intriguing, and there is a murder at the end of the first episode. And she kind of is like, was I invited here to solve this murder? Like, was it planned? What's everyone else up to? The Elon Musk character is like inventing some sort of AI thing and wants to solve global warming. And it's like, I hate that their shows always get described as like cerebral and like you had to pay attention, but it's really entertaining and very good. And I was so happy to see Britt Marling on the screen. So
it's also a novel.
Yeah, there you go.
Have you read it?
Nope. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I just watched the first episode, but it was I think only the first 2 are out now. But it's really engaging, and I really enjoyed it. And
amazing.
Anything that Zal Batmanjali and Britt Marling make is going to be good. So Murder at the End of the World and The OA. The OA is so good.
I love The OA. I was so sad when it got cut because it ended at so abruptly.
Yeah. And the world that they were going to make, I'm sure was going to be like
huge.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was very good.
Good recommendations.
Yeah.
That's big brain.
Yeah, I guess so. I just watched Creep this afternoon. The movie?
Is that the
wolf mask guy?
No, I'm thinking about something else. Creep.
Oh, God. Okay, anyway, I'm pretty sure that I might have recommended this before, but I find it's so low budget. Like, this film, has been, I don't know, they can only have spent like a few $1,000s on it in terms of production, but it's really, really good. It's Mark Duplass who plays the creep.
The creep, yeah.
And he plays it so well. It makes me so uncomfortable.
Also a novel.
Yeah, there you go.
Speaking of adaptations.
But yeah, I recommend that. It's like so simple, but it's within the simplicity that makes it so scary, because the character is so unpredictable, and he's not necessarily doing anything bad. It's just he's so odd and unpredictable that you feel like you're on the edge of your seat. Like, what is he going to do? Because he keeps like pranking the guy. And
yeah. OA was also kind of like that. We were like, what the fuck is he going to do now?
Yeah.
There's a sequel also.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
You seen the sequel too?
Yeah. Yeah. And lastly, I have been reading Dr. Sleep
Oh yeah.
by Stephen King.
What do you
Which
think about the movie?
I haven't seen it because
It's weird.
yeah,
It's
but
more like a monster hunting movie than a thriller.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I think I was very skeptical about it, but then my mum liked it, and that kind of swayed my opinion.
Oh
because
yeah,
she like won't say if she didn't like it. You know,
Mm.
like it's worth watching, and she also liked the film, I think. So
Parents liking something you like is very giving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good indication. But
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it so far because I had started reading My Year of Rest and Relaxation,
Mm-hmm.
and it was I couldn't read it because
Oh
it
no.
was just like it hit too close to home,
That's the best though.
and I was like, I will read it eventually, but I can't read this right now.
Yeah,
It's giving me ideas.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. You have to be in the right place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she's
yeah,
like doesn't want to feel her feelings, so she
Mhm.
like kind of drugs herself, so she sleeps all the time.
Oh no.
And I was like,
Ooh.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, maybe no. Okay, I'll remember that.
Yeah, but yeah, Murder at the End of the World. At least I'm really pushing that.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
I'm so happy you brought up the OA. I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
love
Me
it.
and my best friend, we loved the OA.
Yeah, me too. It inspired like a brief and continuous, now low level
Yeah.
obsession of Brit Marling.
Yeah.
I think she's so cool. She was an investment banker,
Really?
Yeah. and then she was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
No,
And
yeah,
then
that's
moved. Like she did her masters, became an investment banker, didn't like it, and then moved to LA and met Al Majali, and then they
Mhm.
just started writing together, and now they have all this success.
Wasn't she married to the guy who plays Hap, Jason Isaacs?
No.
She wasn't?
I don't think so.
I might have read something wrong. Never mind.
That was like the alternate reality at the end of the second season.
Oh, yeah, that's the OA I'm thinking of. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah. Hmm.
Amazing.
But shall we get into
Yes,
Let's
let's.
Okay.
You can kick us off.
So I described Dune as cinema's white whale.
Good description.
Yeah. Dune is a 1984 America epic space opera, in this case written and directed by David Lynch, based on the 1965 Frank Herbert book of the same name. The film stars a fresh-faced Kyle MacLachlan in his first film, as our young nobleman Paul Atreides. It was filmed in Mexico City and included a soundtrack by the 80s band Toto of Africa fame.
It's a great soundtrack.
Dune is a sprawling, complex, jargon-filled epic of a novel that rivals, for me at least, Lord of the Rings
Mhm.
and Game of Thrones in its extensive lore and the learning curve that I feel like you experience while reading it.
Yeah.
Set in the far distant future, it chronicles a conflict between rival noble families as they battle for control of the desert planet Akaris, also known
Arrakis, yes. there's a lot of names.
also known as Dune. The planet is the source of the drug melange.
Which is very funny because that's a butter in here in Norway.
It also means mix in French.
Yeah.
Yep. Also referred to as spice, which allows prescience
Mhm.
and space travel, making it the most important and valuable commodity in the universe.
Yeah, I read a quote that summed it up really nice. It's the addictive, psychic, mind-expanding, life-extending, spaceship-flying drug, and apparently it tastes like cinnamon.
Okay.
So yeah, so naturally it's the most valuable substance
very
in the
valuable.
world.
Yeah. Paul Atreides, the protagonist, is the son and the heir to the powerful noble family Atreides, whose inheritance of control over Arrakis bring them into conflict with the former overlords, House Harkonnen. At the same time, Paul is possibly a propheted messiah foretold by the spooky Bene Gesserit sisterhood.
Bene Gesserit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there anything that you feel
I
like
have
missed
to
from
do
the
a little
story?
quick thing about the books because I think all of the points we're going to talk about is reasons for why it was so hard to adapt, and why Villeneuve went the direction he did, because Villeneuve's movies barely say anything about what is actually happening.
Very true.
Yeah. So yeah, it's 6 novels, becoming denser and denser by the book, spanning thousands and thousands of years. It's already a couple of 10,000 years in our future, after I forget what the thing was called, but there was a war that ended in banning of thinking machines and nuclear weapons.
Oh.
Said in the one of the prominent religions in the series, it's called the Orange Catholic Bible, which says that a machine cannot be made in the likeness of man.
That sounds positive.
Which is why they have the shields, the swords. Like, they have technology and spaceships, but it's all very feudal.
Yeah.
And I've heard it described as a sci-fi future that rejects technology, which is a very interesting point, especially in the 60s and then 80s when the film was made. I don't have to go into the details on the plot, but it does focus a lot on deep religious science, ecology, history, environments, and the human consciousness and mind combined with what environment people are in, which is, as I said, dense as holy hell. Which I think is one of the reasons it was so hard to adapt. But like, the Bene Gesserit, the Coven, I like to call them, is based, like, named after the Jesuits, and every single group of people is heavily inspired by real world religions, ethnicities, etc. Which is really cool.
I feel like when the book is kind of explained to me, I don't really know why I didn't like it. I just, like, I couldn't get into it.
Subjectiveness.
But
it is what it is.
I think I kind of lump it together with Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, because I wish that I liked Lord of the Rings. It's like my dream to be.
I love both of them.
Because like I will watch like 30-minute YouTube videos explaining like
the lore,
of like one person's family line in Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, this is so cool, but I just couldn't get into the book.
It is escapism on acid, because especially
it's heavy. It's too much.
It is. It's Dune, Lord of the Rings, and Game of Thrones. It's lexicons.
Yeah.
About the 500 history of this one flower. Yeah. Like so it can be very threatening, but I think most of them, like Tolkien and Herbert, can give you a reason and a feeling for why this flower is important. I don't know. Yeah. That's how I see it, at least.
So yes, it's been, even just in the book alone, there's a lot to kind of challenge. But the history of the movies of Dune
is wild.
Even more so. Challenging. So I'm going to just talk about the kind of the production history. And feel free to interject at any time I want. So beginning with starting in the 1970s, so about 5-6 years after the book came out. So these are some early attempts on Jodorowsky's Dune. So after the book's initial success, many producers began attempting to adapt it. In the mid-1971s, Arthur P. Jacobs, producer of many TV series and movies such as Planet of the Apes, Dr. Dolittle, and Tom Sawyer, optioned the rights on the agreement that the film would be made at the end of the decade. Unfortunately, Jacobs died in 1973 at the age of 51, while plans for the film, including director attachment of David Lynch, who made Bridge on the River Kwai, Lawrence of Arabia, and Brief Encounter. In 1974, the film rights were lost by this team, but the option was acquired by a French consortium led by Jean-Paul Guillemot, with the legendary Alejandro Jodorowsky attached to direct. Jodorowsky approached, among many others, the progressive rock groups Pink Floyd and Magma for the music, Dan O'Brien, who was the screenwriter for Alien, Return of the Living Dead, animator and effect artist for Star Wars and Total Recall.
Legend.
Artists H.R. Giger is a Swiss artist, very good. Designed the Xenomorph when he was part of the team that won the Oscar for visual effects for the design in Alien. And two illustrators, John Giraud and Chris Foss on character design.
That is the saddest thing for me, that John Giraud had this opportunity to bring his art more to life, especially him partnering up with Jodorowsky so much. As I said earlier, with the Incal or Edina or The Fifth Element, or there was actually another film based on a comic that Jodorowsky and Moebius made together, and it was Valerian and the Planet of 1,000 Stars. No, the Star of 1,000 Planets. Weird. It's a weird sci-fi Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, which is Valerian was a comic series.
Cara Delevingne's in it, right? Yeah, okay.
That was a
Remember
Jodorowsky Mobius comic series.
Oh, okay.
Wild.
Yeah.
So we have gotten some Fifth Elements, obviously, early sci-fi. So we have gotten some of their brain on film.
Yeah.
But nothing like what Jodorowsky's Dune could have been.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if that crew didn't already sound incredible, the cast was going to be something else. Salvador Dali as the Emperor, Orson Welles as Baron Harkonnen, Mick Jagger as Feyd-Rautha, Udo Kier as Peter de Vries, David Carradine as Leto Atreides, and his own son, Brontis Jodorowsky, as Paul. But the project was ultimately scrapped for several reasons, largely because funding dried up when the project ballooned up to a 10 to 14-hour epic. Although their version of the film never reached production, the work that Jodorowsky and his team put into Dune did have a significant impact on the subsequent science fiction films. In particular, Alien, 1979, written by O'Bannon, shed much of the same creative team for the visual design as had been assembled on Jodorowsky's film. There was a documentary, Jodorowsky's Dune, in 2013 that was made about his failed attempt at adaptation. And I just learned about this today. Like, I've known about Jodorowsky's Dune as like a concept, but then when I was reading about it, and it made me sad.
It is a very sad endeavor. A couple of years ago, Baggy Film Club screened the documentary. Incredible documentary. Where you get to meet most of the people who are gonna work on it, and then getting looks into how they then did Star Wars and all these other projects that birthed. So it is very sad to read about and what could have been.
I know. There's an alternate timeline there somewhere.
Yeah.
That's real.
Also, apologies, Valerian is not Jodorowsky Mobius. It is Mézières and Creston. Same Franco-Belgian comic era. So I muddled them together. Apologies.
Okay. So following this, we now meet the Italian producer Dino De Laurentiis, who is the producer of over 500 films.
Yeah, a long track record.
Yeah, like, you can look them up because there are so many good ones that I couldn't pick but 500 films, producer and co-producer, that's insane. He commissioned Herbert, the author himself, to write a new screenplay in 1978. The script, which he turned in, ended up being 175 pages long, equivalent to around 3 hours of screen time. De Laurentiis then hired director Ridley Scott in 1979 with Rudy Wurlitzer, famous American novelist, to do the screenplay. Scott intended to split the book into 2 movies, as it has now ended up being. Yeah,
and what Lynch should have done.
He worked on 3 drafts of the script using the Battle of Algiers from 1966 as a point of view of reference, before moving on to direct Blade Runner in 82. As he recalls, the pre-production process was slow, and had they actually finished it, he said he would have taken years. So
I myself is happy he went on to do Blade Runner. So
I think it was probably good.
So in an alternate universe, we have this Dune, but no Blade Runner, maybe.
Yeah. Shit. So from a making of his movies by Paul M. Salmon, Ridley Scott says, quote, "After 7 months, I dropped out of Dune. By then, Rudy Wurlitzer had come up with a first draft script, which I felt was a decent distillation of Frank Herbert's book. But I also realized Dune was going to take a lot more work, at least 2.5 years worth, and I didn't have the heart to attack that because my older brother Frank unexpectedly died of cancer whilst I was prepping the De Laurentiis picture. Frankly, that freaked me out. So I went to Dino and I told him that the Dune script was his."
Yeah. My brother died. That freaked me out.
That freaked me out.
Yeah, obviously. Holy crap.
My fun Ridley Scott fact is that he is from the town that is like 10 minutes away from me.
Oh, cool.
Cool. So he grew up where I grew up.
It's in the north, right? Yeah.
I'm from North Shields.
North Shields?
And he is from South Shields.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right next to each other. Yep. Cool.
We can see it right across the river. Yeah.
Have you seen any recent Ridley Scott, like the Raised by Wolves show? Or?
Yes, I loved.
Me too.
I really, really liked it.
And he's gonna do a lot more Alien stuff, he says.
Yeah.
So, and I love the Alien series.
I think this new Alien Romulus is coming out. I think he said that he liked it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good.
And, the direction, or if it's in post production, I guess he's probably seen it.
Yeah,
and I think he said that he liked it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And another recommendation I can do, a couple of years ago, there was an Alien anniversary where they made a series of short films.
That's right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they are independent stories of the horror that can happen in the Alien universe. They're called Containment, Specimen, Night Shift, or Harvest and Alone. And some of them are really cool to try to expand the universe of xenomorphs, all based on incredible art and like the panic. And like as the tagline from Alien: in space, no one can hear you scream. And they really put that on the needle in the short films. So they're really cool. I can recommend them.
Great. So with the film rights on the cusp of expiring once again, so this has been another 9-year period, De Laurentiis renegotiated the rights with the author, adding the rights to the Dune sequels, one that had been written and the one that was to be written. After seeing The Elephant Man in 1980, producer Raffaella De Laurentiis, who is the daughter of the other one, Dino, decided that David Lynch should direct the movie. Around that time, Lynch had also received several other offers, including Return of the Jedi.
Wild.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. He said no to Return. Yeah. But like you can't know that in prior. Like everything's perfect in hindsight.
Yeah.
Like Will Smith said no to play Morpheus to do Wild Wild West or whatever that movie was called.
Okay.
And like you, in hindsight, horrible decision, but you can't know.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, I don't know.
I think Return of the Jedi could be better if Lynch did it. Because I have the controversial opinion of thinking there's only one good Star Wars movie.
Which one?
Empire. And the rest it's just kids' movies. They're messy. All of them. And conveniently, Empire is the only one Lucas didn't make. Which I think is funny. Anyway.
I quite liked them. I actually only saw them for the first time last year.
Really?
And they were good.
Yeah. Looking back on, I have obsessed over the prequels.
Yeah.
I love them a lot. I wrote a couple of essays about them, especially all the niche characters, because a lot of the niche characters in the prequels have incredible stories that could be a trilogy in themselves.
Well, I mean, Disney's doing that now, so don't worry.
Well, yeah. Like the diner owner in the second one, Attack of the Clones, he has like a 50-page backstory.
Oh, okay.
A bounty hunter, and it's wild.
Okay.
But what they chose was the weird-ass romance of an angsty teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember just being like, this is fine, and then like the end of the third one being like,
no,
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like him being burnt alive and dismembered, and I was like, oh,
pretty wild.
It's really like, because if they're supposed to be more kiddie, I feel like that's really like out of pocket.
It is, yeah. It gets very grim.
Dismemberment.
Yeah. But when he wrote, because we're not going to talk about Star Wars, but not too much at least.
Yeah.
But when Lucas originally, way back, wrote Star Wars, the first original trilogy was like chapter 1 of 20.
Oh.
He made a humongous spanning story, like Dune, over 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years.
Oh.
But then after a lot of studio back and forth, I think the Weinstein. No, I'm thinking about Lord of the Rings. They wanted it to be one film, and then he cut down the first like chapter of his huge story to be what is now A New Hope. And then it just exploded. He didn't think it was going to explode, so he gave it to Irving Kershner, who then made Empire. Yeah. And then he was like, "Oh, I love this. Wait," and then he came back. Yeah. Could talk about Star Wars another day.
Okay. So, following not directing Return of the Jedi, De Laurentiis contacted Lynch, who Lynch said that he hadn't even heard of the book. After reading it and loving it, quote unquote, he agreed to direct it. He then worked on a script for 6 months with Aaron Berggren, who was the screenwriter for The Elephant Man and has also worked with David Lynch a couple of other times. The team yielded 2 drafts of the script, and then they split over creative differences. What Lynch ended up with was 6 drafts, scripting it across 2 films, which then production didn't like and condensed his work into a single film. Virginia Madsen, who plays one of the princesses, I think, and also provides the voiceover, said that her contract was actually for 3 movies, as the producers claimed that they were going to make Star Wars for grown-ups.
Yeah, Star Wars for grown-ups. Yeah.
So,
about right.
Equipped with a 135-page 6th draft, Dune began filming in 1983. It was shot entirely in Mexico, with the producers claiming it was due to the favorable exchange rate and that they would get more bang for their buck by filming it in a poorer country. With a budget of $40 to $42 million US, Dune required 80 sets to build on 16 sound stages, a total crew of 1,700, and over 20,000 extras. The filming lasted 6 months and was plagued by various issues of failing electricity and communication lines due to the infrastructure issues of the country or health-related problems of the cast and crew.
And it was abruptly, like, after the second act, they just ran out of money.
Yeah.
So it's very wild. But I think that's the most impressive thing, I think, because I have this love for it, even though it is objectively bad.
Yeah.
but the visuals, the effects, and what they built. For example, the scene where the spaceships land and you see all the armies and that, all that was physically built in a stadium.
Yeah.
And they used a first perspective where there was a hole in this giant model they make. There was a hole in the middle, and through that hole they filmed 100-200 feet down into a stadium where you could see the people.
Yeah.
So it looked huge. The sets they made were incredible.
Yeah.
And everything was handmade and hand-drawn. Like the shields, when Paul is training, it is frame for frame hand-painted.
Wow.
It took 6 months to paint that one training scene. It is... So what they did, but it's the same with like the prequels, or Dune, or all these early... What they like pioneered is incredible.
Definitely.
And I think it deserves a lot of love for that. We wouldn't have the effects we have today if it wasn't for this. Yeah.
Especially, it seems like it brought together the entire production crew of Alien.
Yeah.
For example. Yeah. But no, we famously love practical effects.
Yes, we do.
So
most of us.
Yeah. So I think it's always... It just makes it so much more real. And maybe they look a bit like... Can look goofy sometimes, but it's just because it's like... It's old, so it will, but...
Yeah. Today it looks horrible, but like
at the time, it was very spectacular.
Yeah. For example, the shield in Villeneuve's Dune was the easiest thing they made in the new Dunes, because they just outlined the character, shifted it a bit to the right, and made it blue. Yeah. So it looks like something is hovering around them. That's it. So they spent no time, opposed to 6 months hand drawing square shields, Minecraft shields around Patrick Stewart, which is incredible.
Okay. So the rough cut without post-production was over 4 hours long. But Lynch's intended cut of the film, as reflected in the 7th and final version of the script, was supposed to be 3. Universal and the film's financiers expected a standard feature length of about 2.5 to 2 hours. Dino De Laurentiis and his daughter Raffaella excised numerous scenes, filmed new scenes that simplified or concentrated the plots, added voiceovers, a lengthy introduction, further convoluting the already expansive rambling nature of Dune's plot. A television version was aired in 1988 in 2 parts, totaling 186 minutes. It replaced Madsen's open monologue with a much longer description of the setting that used concept art stills. Lynch disavowed this version and had his name removed from the credits. Alan Smithy was credited, a pseudonym used by directors who wished to disavow a film. The extended and television versions additionally credit writer Lynch as Judas Booth. This version, without recap and second credit roll, has previously been released on DVD as Dune Extended Edition. Although Universal has not approached Lynch for a possible director's cut, Lynch has declined every offer and prefers not to discuss Dune in interviews. Yet in 2022, though, during an interview about the remaster of his film Inland Empire from 2006, he admitted to the surprised interviewer that he was interested in the idea. He offered the caveat that he did not believe it would ever happen, nor that anything in the unused footage would satisfy him enough for a director's cut, as he felt like he was selling out during production. Nevertheless, he felt enough time had passed that he was at least curious to take another look at the footage. And that's kind of the end of the production story of Dune.
It's
messy AF.
Yeah, it is very. It's very funny how, for a long period of time, he really hated it.
Yeah, I bet.
I can't remember it now, but the name that directors use when they want to take their name off an IP,
Yep.
is on a lot of websites. Like most websites, just Lynch made it.
Yep.
But a lot of websites credit this fake name.
Yeah.
Because he wanted nothing to do with it. There was also, did you ever check out the TV shows?
No.
So in 2000 there was a Dune TV show. It looked, honestly, it had the vibe of something in between Lynch and Villeneuve's Dune.
Okay.
It was a mini show. It reminded a lot, like this was in the Stargate period and all these not low budget but very like Star Trek inspired, kind of very easygoing sci-fi TV shows.
Yeah.
And in 2003 there was a mini show called Children of Dune, where following the book Children of Dune and then God Emperor of Dune, where James McAvoy plays Paul Atreides' son, Leto II, who becomes the God Emperor. So a very young, James McAvoy.
Yeah, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
I just want to say a little bit about the box office, because people like to call this film a flop, because it is.
Yeah.
The film opened on December 14th in 1984 in 915 theaters and earned a gross of around $6 million in its opening weekend, ranking 2 in the domestic box office behind Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh.
By the end of its run, Dune had grossed nearly $31 million, which is $76 million in 2020 dollars.
That could be worse.
Which was on an estimated budget, so they kind of lost $10 to $12 million.
Yeah. They could have lost a lot more.
Yeah. While the film later on went to see more success over time, it has been called the Heaven's Gate of science fiction.
Yeah. That's a good description. Yeah.
But why do you like it so much? Like, you've been advocating to have this on the program for some time, so...
And I got it.
You did.
I did get it.
You tried to leverage it as your leaving president.
Yes, yeah. I think it originally was either I get Dune or I don't leave, or something. It was like, so if we never play Dune, you never leave, because it was going to be my leaving thing. And I was like, oh wait, no, that doesn't work. So if I don't get Dune, I leave. No, I don't remember. Yeah. But I think it comes down to what we've already discussed a little bit about the humor. I think is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the niche and the cultiness behind it. And if someone tells you like, hey, David Lynch made a film he hates, and it's sci-fi thing with Kyle MacLachlan in the main story, people are gonna get intrigued. Definitely. And then reading more about it and finding out the history. And also when we screened Jodorowsky's Dune documentary, I think I just fell in love with it. Yeah. Same as I did with Blade Runner, Akira. I've always had a love for this original thought of what sci-fi could be, just human, but what if? Yeah. And then finding different ways to explore what humanity is, what our nature, our consciousness, our relationships through these different mediums. And I think Dune, Lynch's Dune, in its attempt, does that in a very interesting way. I think the book and Villeneuve's Dune does it masterfully. Yeah. I love Villeneuve's Dune a lot. It is right up my alley, and I think there's another board member, Remy. Me and him had talked about it. We like every single film Villeneuve has made. Yeah. Which is rare.
Yeah, he's
like,
very, very good.
Yeah, like my favorite films. I have other films that I like more than films like this, but the filmography of the directors, I never like all of them. Like even Ridley Scott has his weird.
That's very true.
And for me, loving sci-fi, but Villeneuve, he's it out of the park every time.
Ridley Scott has gotten very like obsessed on one thing. Yeah, and only makes stuff about that now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think he wants to do more Blade Runner stuff too. And I'm like, sure.
It's just like AI got complex.
Yes. Yeah.
Where do we go when we die?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think my history with Dune is very recent. It goes 5 years back. Yeah. Read the two first books.
Impressive.
Yeah, I haven't gotten further.
Yeah. But I think the first two, that would be more than enough for me.
Yeah. Because the fourth one is when he becomes the God Emperor, and that's 3,000 years, I think, in one book.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wow.
but it's like this historian aspect on how he writes it. I think it's lovely but I read Lord of the Rings when I just need to relax.
Okay.
I can just open up a page and then just look at the names, and
Interesting.
I think it has the same thing for me.
Yeah,
But
okay.
Dune is a bit more heavy.
Defo.
Lord of the Rings is more woo, adventure,
Yeah.
woohoo, and of course there's a lot of points about war and death and
Yeah.
friendship. But
It's
Dune,
boring.
you have to think. You
Yeah.
can't just pick up Dune
No.
while on the beach.
No.
We're relaxing.
It's like studying.
It is
Yeah.
a lexicon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the same with the film. Like, imagine we're gonna make a 2-hour film, summing up human history and emotions.
Mhm.
I feel that's what they tried to do, and that's why I appreciate Villeneuve doing his more vague
Yeah.
sci-fi opera. Just enjoy the visuals.
That's
And
all
if
that
you
I
want to
took
look
away.
deeper, there is a beautiful story there, but it is just going to be mostly a really cool take on sci-fi religion and history and
Mhm.
shit like that. So, but all these themes together is why I like Dune.
Mm.
It's the sci-fi. It's the exploration of humanity in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dune is
But do you like the David Lynch one more than you like the Villeneuve one?
no, I like the Villeneuve one better because
Yeah.
Lynch's Dune tried to put every single aspect
Yeah.
into the film, which
Because the
just made
studio
it
made
so uncohesive mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love watching it as a joke almost.
Okay.
I do appreciate the things they tried, like having Sting as the bad guy, and
Yeah.
I love Kyle, and
Sting is also from where I'm from.
really, yeah, it's an old family gathering.
Yeah. Okay.
And I do appreciate it. I love Patrick Stewart in the role,
Mm.
which is Gurney Halleck's role. So that would be what's his name in the Villeneuve one? Not Duncan Idaho, not Jason Momoa's role, but the other mentor. He's he plays Thanos. That's all I remember.
Oh, Josh Groban.
Yeah, yeah. Josh, isn't he a singer? Isn't that the opera singer? Josh
Hmm.
Groban?
He's a singer. Yeah.
We're blanking.
I wish it was Josh Groban.
Josh Brolin.
Probably.
Yeah, Josh Brolin. There we
Gotcha.
go. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And they made the characters a bit more relatable, I think, because
Yeah.
like Patrick Stewart is cool as all hell,
Mm.
but you don't look at Patrick Stewart and go, "Ooh, father." Not in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
he is a lovely actor, and in any other role you would look at Patrick Stewart and go, "Oh, I want to look up to this guy."
Mm.
But in Lynch's Dune, he's just like,
Yeah.
and they have a hug at the end, which is
Mm.
the most awkward hug in the
Okay.
middle of the battlefield. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
remembered my takeaway from watching Villeneuve's Dune
Mm-hmm.
is that I couldn't believe how amazing Rebecca Ferguson was.
She's incredible.
I was like,
Yeah.
I felt like shocked at
Mm.
how good she was.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Like Timothy, I was like,
the shaking
away.
and yeah.
oh wait, I'm not interested. Don't care about Zendaya. She's not in it. And then I was just like, just show me more Rebecca Ferguson. I need to know what she's up to.
I do agree. Tim, it's not his role.
No,
I
it's a bit cold. I felt.
Yeah.
It's like he's not.
And they
giving
try
much.
to portray the family as this loving, noble family. Like in the books, they are cold and manipulative and
Yeah.
lies. Like the Atreides are not good guys,
Mm.
but in the film, it's like,
family.
yeah, woo,
friendship,
oh,
yeah.
you have to drink your water,
Yeah.
and shit like that. So Timmy, I don't think I don't think it's a role for him.
No.
No,
Do
but
you
but
think-
he doesn't do a bad job.
Yeah.
I think it's a good cast,
Definitely. Yeah.
but yeah,
Do you
but
think
yeah, Rebecca is incredible in it.
so good?
And I love Josh Brolin, and the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, which is Skarsgård, incredible.
He's so good in that.
Yeah, because in
So
the novels, the Harkonnens are described as a mouth that swallows all.
Mm.
They are brutal. They excuse the language. They rape. They eat, and I think he does this my Dune. I think I love Skarsgård as
Definitely, he's so good in it. Yeah.
as Harkonnen, because in Lynch's Dune he's just the big floating fat guy with pus all over his face. And, I'm evil.
No,
Did you see it?
No.
Oh no, you
But
gotta check it out.
Villeneuve's portrayal of them makes them like very, very scary.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And he even says in the book about Peter de Vries, the mentat assistant of Harkonnen, and even Raban the Beast, his nephew, who's played by De Bautista. He despises them. And he just uses them because Peter de Vries has an addiction to spice, and it is, as Josh Brolin says, they're brutal. And I love Villeneuve's depiction of them in the recent ones. And I'm so hyped for the part 2.
Yeah.
And it's in the talks to do Children of Dune and maybe Dune Messiah as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
So if they make money, of course, it's all down to that. Because the hype has died down with the
But it's been a while since the first one came out.
It has.
So,
but we have to respect the strike.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
There are some critical responses that I wanted to get into, but I can sort of briefly pass through them before we get into the theme of adaptation. Mostly, we always quote Roger Ebert, so I feel like we have to shout him out because
tradition by now.
it is. It's for Bendick, and I also like what he says. Sometimes
me too.
He's funny. So, by and large, mostly negative reviews upon release.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert gave Dune 1 out of 4
Oh God.
and wrote, "This movie is a real mess. An incomprehensible, ugly, unstructured, pointless excursion into the murkier realms of one of the most confusing screenplays of all time. The movie plot will no doubt mean more to people who've read Herbert than to those who are walking in cold." And later named it the worst movie of the year.
Whoa. In '84, I don't remember what else came out in '84.
I don't
It
know.
was in between Star Wars,
Yeah.
Empire '82. No, Return '82. Wait, I don't remember.
You're asking-
What else came out?
You're asking the wrong person. However, the Variety gave Dune a less negative review.
Mm-hmm.
They're stating, "Dune is a huge, hollow, imaginative, and cold sci-fi epic. Visually unique and teeming with incident, David Lynch's film holds interest due to its abundant surface attractions, but won't, of its own accord, create the sort of fantasism which has made Frank Herbert's 1965 novel one of the greatest in its genres." They also comment on how Lynch's adaptation covers the entire span of the novel, but simply setting up the various worlds, characters, intrigues, and forces at work requires more than half hour of expository screen time.
It wouldn't work without, like, Villeneuve's Dune would never work without Lynch's Dune.
No.
Because the novels, of course, they're big in the classic sci-fi genre,
Mm-hmm.
but him putting this out there into the minds of the people, into the zeitgeist, is, I think, the reason why it was like, oh, he's making Dune.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the people know what that is.
Mhm.
Oh, I've heard about Dune. Oh, it's these books. And
Yeah.
then it exploded on YouTube and social media and, like, as you said earlier, lore videos, and as Lord of the Rings has, Star Wars
Mhm.
has.
Oh, I bet there's so much Dune lore videos.
Bendick
few
is gonna
times.
like be saying that we owe it to the 80s,
Yeah.
70s and 80s.
One last kind of interesting review that I wanted to include was from film scholar Robin Wood,
Mhm.
who called David Lynch's Dune the most obscenely homophobic film I've ever seen. Referring to a scene in which Baron Harkonnen sexually assaults and kills a young man by bleeding him to death, charging it with, quote-unquote, managing to associate with homosexuality in a single scene, physical grossness, moral depravity, violence, and disease, end quote. Dennis Altman suggested that the film showed how AIDS references began penetrating popular culture in 1980s, asking, quote-unquote, was it just an accident that in the film Dune, the homosexual villain had separating sores on his face, end quote.
Oh, I have not thought much about that.
Me neither, I think.
But it is a good point. In the book, it is boys, small boys, men. He, as I said earlier, abuses, uses. But I haven't dived much into that perspective.
Yeah, I'm not sure about but I suppose it's kind of like, maybe it wasn't necessarily like the intention, but if it was kind of like that was happening at that time.
Yeah, evil happens, but not thinking on where on
reflection.
who the evil happens on.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
or like maybe it is reflected in that way.
Yeah. Interesting take though. Have to rewatch it again now.
Yeah.
Quick tangent. 84 had Neverending Story, Footloose, Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom,
Fuck yeah, that's my favorite.
Nausicaa.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of big names.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, Gremlins, and of course Amadeus, and of course Dune.
They were busy.
Police Academy, The Terminator, yeah, Paris, Texas.
Oh.
A lot of big names.
Yeah.
Karate Kid, yeah.
I can easily see how it would have.
So I can then agree with him.
Mm.
It's probably it's not better than any of them.
No. So we wanted to get into now. Want to talk about the kind of the concept of adaptations.
Yes.
That maybe they're frequently hated.
Yeah.
I think, and looked down upon because often the source material tends to be very beloved.
Mm-hmm. It also
Respected.
depends on, because from book to film, it's such a standard today.
Yeah.
Every single film you see in cinemas, I would say, except a lot of festival films, of course.
Sure.
But like most you see in the big cinemas today, they are books. They're all novels. Like all of Ghibli's, they're all novels.
Yeah.
So I think the process of doing something from a novel and getting the writer on hand, and creating a film, it is almost a part of the process.
Yeah.
Of creating an IP.
Yeah.
If it becomes big, there's going to be a movie. If it's bad, if it's good, it's just in the process. So I think adapting something from book is so ingrained into the medium that if it's good or bad doesn't matter, because a film could be good or bad, and then asking how or why. But especially from novels, you have of course some novels, like you said you were reading Dr. Sleep, which the Hitchcock made a completely different film of what the original books were. Yeah. Right, cutting it halfway, changing shit like that. But that's a way where different creators can have different views on adapting, where it's good. Yeah. But it's not necessarily always good.
But you're right, that's absolutely this kind of like popularity pipeline.
Yeah.
Is that if it is a good book, it will be made into a film,
definitely,
whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but that kind of like almost makes me think that it like nowadays limits the success of a book if it isn't made into a film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you mean, and I think cinema is headed the same way, where anyone can write a book today.
That's true.
If you have a laptop and an idea, you can start writing.
And dream.
And dream. And so that's why I think there's a popularity in libraries and film clubs and these societies where people try to curate and find and share their love for different things, because you can't read every book.
That's very true.
Like back in the 80s and the 60s, when these novels and these films came out, you could, with some, you could try to watch every film that was in your cinema. Yeah. That can't go today. You can't read every book that's released today. No, that's just not feasible. So I think slowly cinema is heading in the same direction, where not to brag on Baggy Film Club, but it gets more important to have this community.
Sure.
Yeah. Around it.
Yeah. I think a point that I wanted to make, if I can bring up some traumatic memory of mine.
Safe space.
An ex-friend of mine, in one of his many criticisms of me, would say that I shouldn't be so critical of a film or a TV show that doesn't exactly line up to my enjoyment of the book. Because if he said that I should think about that why does it have to be faithful? Can it not just be a director's interpretation of a story, because it's in essence what is being done anyway, and perhaps it should just be what the director feels could be best reflected from that story. It's an adaptation. It's not a adaptation.
Creation.
Like exactly. It's not like in the literal sense. It means that it's their version.
We're slowly going into the question, what is art? Because as we talked about earlier, the comics Akira, the writer artist also directed the film. So he's like very attached to his property and what the message he wants to bring out into the world. But then you also have Hitchcock, who made his very own view on what it is The Shining and Doctor Sleep,
Yeah.
what it was. And then you have Psycho that was remade shot for shot.
Yeah.
A couple of years back,
It was.
and it's just that
With
just
Vince
felt
Vaughn.
soulless
Yeah.
because there is no art behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree that you can separate them and still get different stories and feelings out of the book, the movie, whatever.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I've listed some books and stuff here that I kind of wanted to talk about, at least in my opinion. But I think this all kind of began with a series of Unfortunate Events books.
Oh, yeah.
Because I loved them. I read them all when I was like 13, and then I read them all again when I was
I've never
18.
read them.
I love them so much.
They're lovely.
Yeah. So it's like macabre and cool, and like it's like at the heart of it's just like a family story of these 3 siblings going through horrible things, but it's like they always have each other and they can always rely on each other in a way. It's just, I think it's such a good series. It's like 13 books.
13?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like gets convoluted, but it's like a cool mystery. And I really like the film.
The Jim Carrey one.
Yeah.
Did you watch the show?
I'm getting to it.
Okay. Oh, I'm hyped.
And because I feel like however macabre and like dark the book is, there is like an element of like silliness. And
yeah, they're
absurdity,
very silly. Yeah.
which I feel was just like done very well in the film. Like the whole thing basically is about adults' kind of inherent distrust of children. That like children can't be trusted. They can't like stand up for themselves. They can't have their own voice. And like, why would we believe anything that a child says? Because we're adults, so we're right.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is so perfectly shown in the film as a reflection of the book. And even if there's like discrepancy between the first 3 books and the film, it's like that absurdity is captured really well because the adults are so silly in the book. But you're like, of course they're silly because it's like, why aren't they believing?
So do you think the film took its own turn or took its own like way of showing the books, or do you feel it tried to stay true to the books more than it wanted to make its own version of the story?
Yeah, I guess it was its own version in its own way, because by having it start with the first book and then not having the ending, and then doing the second, third, and then the ending of the first one. So it kind of becomes like an encapsulation of those first 3 stories.
Its own bubble that you can experience. Yeah.
But it's like, it's kind of like, it almost didn't leave me wanting like, oh, why didn't they do 4, 5, and 6? Like, as an encapsulation, it's fine. In the same way of like, this is another controversial one, The Golden Compass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dark Materials, yeah.
His Dark Materials, love the books. I read them, I think, maybe 4 years ago now, and I loved them, hated the TV show.
I didn't like the TV show either. What do you think about the movie?
I love the movie.
Yeah,
I think.
But I assume you were young when you saw it.
Yeah, but
have you rewatched it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I haven't rewatched it since I was a kid, and I'm scared to not like it.
But my like the discrepancy that I don't like here is that like the film, the kids are childish and kiddie, whereas I feel like in the series they made the whole point of the story of His Dark Materials is that the reason that Lyra, the main character, is able to survive and interpret all these situations is because she's doing it from the perspective of being a child.
Being a child, yeah.
Because she's like 12. But then in the film, it was like, I mean, in the series, it was like they had written adult dialogue and then given it to children.
Yes.
They were so unbelievably serious and adult, and there was no like kid feeling from it at all. So I really didn't like it. But I feel like the film does a perfect job of that. And like Nicole Kidman.
David Craig's so good in it. Yeah. The animals look great.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lovely movie. I assume it flopped.
It did.
Because
Totally. And there was actually, because I was reading about it, there was actually an intention to do the other 2 books. And that there is a whole, because the ending of the book and the ending of the film is different. Yeah. But that was all in pre-production and conceptualized and ready to be films, and then the production company were like, no.
And then it flopped, and then it was just
the production company were just like, the film is too long, so we're just going to get rid of the end.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But then in the same way that like, but then it kind of like in the series Unfortunate Events movie, then it's kind of like encapsulated as its own thing. And because the ending is kind of like open-ended, that they're just going back to London or Jordan, and that's that. And it's kind of like it's good, but then I feel like the series of Unfortunate Events TV series, which is on Netflix. I just didn't like. But this is the whole like debate that I had with my ex-friend. Is that like when they make creative choices to change stuff, I'm like, why? I feel like to change the story, it has to be better or for a reason.
Or authentic, at least.
Yeah, it's like they like changed the end of the third book, and then like the beginning half of the fourth was completely different, and I was just kind of like, I'm like totally spinning.
Do you think that was the creator trying to like make his authentic, or hers, sorry, or anything in between, authentic version of the story, or do you think that is just a Hollywood bullshit?
I think in that context, maybe the involvement would have been to make it more like TV seriesy. Like give it a cliffhanger, give it some kind of open,
marveling it up.
Yeah. But then on like the flip side of that, on things that like did make changes, the movie Annihilation.
Oh, I love Annihilation.
Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason, Gina Rodriguez,
Oscar.
Yeah, love. Oh, Oscar Isaac also in the movie. Great movie. Very, very cool.
I have a fun take about Annihilation. Oh. It's Frozen 2. Same movie. It's about self-destruction. They go into mystical forest.
Oh.
It's the same movie, one for kids, one for adults. It is the same movie.
Interesting.
Not to the details, of course, but I think it's the same thing. But I love Annihilation. Have you read all the books?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because I didn't know it was a trilogy.
Yeah, it's a trilogy, Southern Reach trilogy. It's Annihilation is the first one, and then Authority, and then...
Because that made me very curious.
Acceptance.
Yes, Acceptance. Yeah. Because that made me very curious, because the ending of Annihilation is it feels very ended. That it's not to spoil too much, but this mysterious thing that crashed in, gone. Yeah. But the effect is probably still there, and that's where they take the sequels, I assume.
No, actually, the second book is the second book is kind of like before and during, but just from the perspective of another character.
Oh.
And then the third book is from the perspective of another character.
And okay.
It's like two stories, actually. The third book is the perspective of someone else who's going to investigate it, and then from the man who lives in the lighthouse. Before everything happens.
Okay.
And the books are scary, actually. Like
they are. The films also. They're very like bright and they look like pretty, almost like a painting. But the concept, as we talked about earlier, on how sci-fi can be used to explore humanity, I think Annihilation does that perfectly. Totally. Where they take this twist on not technology, but like science fiction.
Yeah, it's like very
and how that explores, and I take it as self-destruction, because you have all these characters have their own way of sabotaging themselves almost. Yeah, and that's now I'm really hyped to read the sequels. So that's another recommendation from you.
Yeah, but yeah, and I was, I think
is that what they call the area? So the Southern Reach.
The Southern Reach is like the government organization.
That's the group. Okay.
Who are like investigating as they call
X-Files.
it. The X-Files. But when I knew that it was going to be a film, then I read the book before, and then, but I was like very feeling skeptical because I'd been burnt by a series of unfortunate events. Yeah. But I really enjoyed the film. It's like, but it's very different from the book. Like it maybe has some of the same beats, but I would say like the last 30% is completely different. But it's like, it's very cool, and it's a really like
visually incredible.
It is, and it's such an amazing, interesting and amazing
concept.
Adaptation.
Yeah, and the concepts they do, and I assume the book has.
It's like his own take.
Yeah.
The book is very, because this was something that I was very curious about, because the book is very, what's it called? Lovecraftian.
Oh, I love that.
Like the things in it, from the perspective of the character, you kind of she can't imagine or take in what she's looking at.
Yeah, but that's a trap to go into movies, though.
Yeah, totally.
Because Lovecraftian, the very heart of Lovecraftian is that you can't describe it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a visual medium trying to describe it, so that's why it's impressive.
Totally.
Yeah.
So then that's why I was curious, but then I saw that he adapted it in this way that was like different, but still very cool and sort of like similar-ish, but still a good adaptation. And recently, I found this about the movie Poor Things.
Haven't seen, haven't read.
I read it.
It's Lanthimos, no? Yeah.
Alistair Gray is
Mhm.
the author.
It's an old novel, isn't it?
Yeah, I think from maybe like the 80s or something. Fucking loved the book. It was so good.
Mhm.
Like immediately fell in love with the main character, Bella Baxter, and just made me so excited for the film. But then when I was about to watch it, I was like, oh no, they're probably going to change things.
Oh no, you're sabotaging yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, but the changes kind of were like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
like I can get like
Yeah.
the changes were sort of like some minor plot points, and then also like the ending of one of the characters is slightly changed, but it kind of felt cathartic in a way because that's sort of left open-ended in the book.
Okay, yeah.
But it was kind of like brought about this sort of like more Yorgos Lanthimos ending.
Mm-hmm.
But then on like when I really think about it, I guess it's just because they, you know, it has to be a movie and it has to work as a movie. And if you have to make changes to kind of compromise that, then I guess, but I think it takes someone who like really understands, like Yorgos Lanthimos is the producer and Emma Stone is the producer of this film. And you can like, I feel like you can really tell with an adaptation when someone has like, that's been something that they have liked previously and then worked to develop into something.
And they want to be honest with the themselves and the creation. And,
and the source material is like something to take from, not something to like replicate and stuff. And
copying a shot, that turns into rom-com almost, like if it's just gonna retell something everyone already have felt. It just feels a bit fake. It can feel fake, but also it is just sometimes it's just an opportunity to get people to feel more than what they already have. Like my favorite is obviously Lord of the Rings, which I think is a very, very faithful adaptations where the emotions you get from the characters and the friendship and the adventure is better in the film than in the book, because as we talked about earlier, it's so lexicon-y, and it just lists up history and why this king 300 years ago was important, which doesn't really matter on why I like how Sam and Frodo talk together. Like it can be its own blessing and curse to go the way that, let's say, Tolkien and then Jackson did. And I can hear you're thinking the same of Poor Things. So but like, okay, is there a adaptation where you like the film better than the book? You like the recreation better than the original? It could be the other way around, but there's very rarely a film turns into a book.
Well, the Alien series. That's a book. Now, like after I read
So
they're not
million comic books too.
good. The books are not good. Just saying.
Okay,
No.
good to know. Yeah, because I like the Dark Horse has made a million Alien comic books. And some of them are really good.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head, but I guess in kind of the same vein, like the Suspiria remake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
The
the remake's
2018.
great.
Oh yeah.
No?
That's one of my. I think that's one of my favorite films. The 2018
Yeah, that makes sense.
Suspiria.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
It's a very Joe film.
It's everything that I could want in a film.
Yeah.
It's dancing. It's an amazing score. It's all of my favorite female actresses.
Yeah.
Luca Guadagnino, who I love. The style of it and everything is, I love it.
Yeah.
It's like, I like the first, like the original, but I feel like it's cool and stylistic, but it was missing a lot for me that I feel like then Luca Guadagnino really fleshed out into like a real living thing. I
Yeah,
love
because
that film.
the original is very on the nose.
It's just like
Yeah.
vibe.
Creepy house, scary secrets.
Yeah.
And also it's very it feels like a knife. The original feels like a knife. A very classic, good-looking knife, but it's still a knife.
Yeah.
Had the weird analogy, but
Yeah. Whereas the new one is like a bedazzled sword.
yes,
Or something.
yeah, it's a scimitar or whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
totally, yeah. That was actually my introduction to the love of my life, Mia Goth.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And she's very, very good in the film.
You've seen everything Goth has been in, right?
No, I'm still missing like 2 or 3. I think some of her like earlier works.
Yeah, you need to start a fan club.
I do. I should do like Mia Goth season.
Yeah. Mia Goth's Film Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, like one of the best kind of adaptations I think that people I don't necessarily know as an adaptation is Arrival.
Oh yeah, A Story of Your Life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a short story that kind of like doesn't really go into anything that the
Mm-mm.
film goes into, but he was able
Again, Villeneuve doing his thing.
he was able to extract out this amazing point
Love
in the film.
of it. Oh yeah, it's incredible.
Arrival fucking rules.
It does.
Yeah.
Villeneuve rules.
Yeah.
I haven't read
yeah.
the short story, but
Yeah.
the film, I think it was like a couple of months prior to release. It was almost called The Story of Your Life.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't make sense. Well, it kind of does.
Yeah.
If you did the subplot with
Yeah.
the daughter, right? So it kind of does make sense, but I think
Mhm.
people would be like, "Hey."
Yeah.
Going above some heads, I think. But Arrival's a good title.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I love to see Jeremy Renner
Mm.
not in Marvel movies.
Yes,
Because
yeah.
he's a very good
It's
actor.
very sweet in Arrival too.
Yeah, he is.
They have, because my favorite thing in any movie is hugs.
Oh yeah.
I love a good hug.
Okay.
I have a list. It's hidden on Letterboxd, but I have a list of my favorite movie hugs.
Okay.
And actually, there's some TV shows in there too.
Mm. I imagine there's a lot of Ghibli on.
Yeah, Ghibli has amazing. Totoro has the best hugs.
Yeah.
With the dad. Oh.
Mhm.
But their hug at the end, when he just gently holds the back of her head. Good hug.
Yeah.
Good hug. Every time I'm on this show now, I'm gonna do a hug review.
Hug reviews. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love.
But yeah, you
Arrival.
did a hug review of just before in Dune.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Patrick Stewart and Kyle has a weird hug,
Yeah.
but I still like hugs.
Okay. We've been talking for a very long time, but I think that I'm kind of desperate if we're talking about adaptations. I don't want to talk about video game
Yes.
adaptations.
It's a weird topic.
Yeah.
Because
How do you put in
words,
minimum 20 hours of a game into a 1 hour 40
Yeah.
1 hour 40 movie?
Well, like Mario is probably the easiest.
Yeah, because Mario has
You save the princess.
no
and you-
story.
Yeah, it is literally no
Yeah.
story. So that's you can do anything, and they did anything. They did
Yeah.
whatever the fuck they wanted.
Yeah.
And got Jack back to make a song, and yeah, they can do whatever they want. So that's very. I feel that's very easy.
Did you like it?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I'm not planning of seeing it either.
Okay. Yeah. I watched like 15 minutes of it with my brother's son, and he was 4, and we watched 15 minutes of it, and then he was like, "Let's watch the end. I don't want to watch the middle bit." And I was like,
He said that.
"Yeah."
Oh, cool.
He was like, I like this bit, so let's skip to it. And I was like, I want to watch the whole film, and he's like, no.
No.
So then we watched the first 15, watched the song of Bowser, and then
Mhm.
watched the ending.
And
So I mean, yeah, but I mean,
it is exactly where you think
I
it's
missed
gonna be, right?
a good 1 hour 20 of the film, so I don't know about the rest of it. But yeah, like I guess Mario is like is good example,
Yeah.
but also like the countless and endless Resident Evil.
Yeah.
That's
But I
huge.
feel that's the same thing with Mario, that they can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
But here they actually just like, well, we're just gonna take the games as a
inspiration.
back plot point, a little thing.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the city. This is what the company in the city did.
Yeah.
Let's just make sci-fi, zombie,
Mm.
fleshy action movies.
Yeah.
And some of them are really fun.
Yeah, Netflix had made a series
Mhm.
very recently, last year or early this year.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it. I
What
thought
was it called?
It was just Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City.
Oh yeah. So they went back to the original.
Yeah,
Like,
and it was like
storyline, yeah.
about like twins. One of them got
Mhm.
bitten, and then she doesn't turn. And
Yeah, because the movies took a weird turn where it's more about like this science fiction-y,
yeah,
dystopian future, where the games are you follow one or two characters
Yeah.
in a very like set story.
totally.
Yeah, so I think that they just did their own thing.
Yeah,
Is
but I
that-
liked the series, but it got cancelled.
It did.
It did,
Oh.
and I was sad about that.
Well, it's good to give it 2 years.
Yeah,
We're
it's
gonna make a new one.
yeah, that's very true. There's probably another one coming out.
That's Mila Jovovich, right?
No, it's a. Although I haven't seen that one, and I didn't really like
Yeah.
it because I was like very confused.
Mm-hmm.
I found it hard to concentrate whilst I was watching it. But no, it was like a Netflix series that came out.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I liked it. It was good. But
When I was a kid, I got this double DVD
okay.
from my dad with I think it was a double Mila
Oh.
movie. I think that is
Was she also Tomb Raider?
I don't remember. But it was a movie called Ultraviolet, which is this...
The Blood War is on.
Yeah, it's this very Resident Evil-y sci-fi future. Vampires exist, and there's a half-breed vampire zombie war techie action super action movie, and it's like the same period as Resident Evil, Underworld, all these. But I just have like a vivid picture of that DVD with just 2 pictures of Mila. If I'm not confusing her with anyone else.
No,
not sure.
Yeah. But they also adapted Silent Hill.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
I quite like the first one. I think it catches the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, with the mist and the siren and because Silent Hill also it's a really good vibe.
It is. I think people forget that all that game is walking around picking stuff up and then looking at the map.
Yes, and
how does that become a movie?
I recently read that I might be wrong if this is not Silent Hill, that the monsters change on what you look at and what you pick up. Because it's supposed to be a psychological breakdown of the character, and I think that's a really good vibe.
Totally.
Yeah. And Pyramid had Silent Hill, right?
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that. It's
No.
like
It's so
Godzilla. If you put Godzilla and a big monster in a movie, it's gonna be a hit. It's just like iconic.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them in ages.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about video games that studios find so hard to adapt, but I think it's also it's like leaving the game like designers out of the production is often probably what, at least if I think about it.
Is Resident Evil your favorite?
No,
because we're in a recent wave of biopics.
Yeah,
there was recently one about we have like Mario's in the biopic. We have one about Tetris, and we're doing this historical stuff. And Michael Jordan got one, but I can't think of a favorite video game movie.
Yeah, I mean, The Last of Us was an adaptation of a video game.
That's true. That's a kick-ass show. Yeah, that's very true.
But nothing that I think they made a Halo TV series. I didn't know
they
that
did
existed.
Reach.
But sure.
I never saw it.
No, me neither. I didn't know it existed until about.
But Halo is also one of those worlds where it's so dense.
Yeah.
I think there's almost 30 novels.
Yeah.
In the Halo series, so that's where it's like you don't even have to think about the video games. You can just pick a point in history and make a cool story.
But I have to say, I think this is like a good one to kind of the last one that we can talk about is that they just announced that they are making a Legend of Zelda movie.
They are.
That's gonna be tough for me.
Weird. Yeah. This
what are they?
Silent blonde-haired twink.
But the lore of that series is heavy, extensive.
Yeah.
A lot of twisting history, plot lines.
Time travel. Yeah, they could, but the same as the other ones. They could do anything. They can do like the original Mario movie. Have you seen that one? The weird cyberpunky dystopian frogman. They can do, I think with Zelda too, they can do whatever they want. I would like them to do like a little twisty Ocarina of Time thing.
Yeah.
Where you have a kid and a grown-up and they affect each other and you have to go back. That would be cool. That could be really cool on the big screen.
In my head, that's kind of like the only thing that they could do.
Yeah.
Is Ocarina of Time or Skyward Sword.
If not, it's going to be Mario movie. You save the princess, you're done.
Yeah.
Big bad.
But like Zelda is its story and it's like so epic.
It's very dense.
And it's like there's a lot happening. There's a lot of characters.
They could also go the way of what they've done with the 2 latest games, that this is an infinite loop.
Oh yeah.
That the hero will always come back and the bad guy will always come back and the goddess will always be reborn as Zelda. So they could do like a bit darker. Grandfather paradox type. That they are their own end and beginning.
Yeah, but the fear that I'm in, as my closing thought about Legend of Zelda, is that the person either directing or produced attached to it is the guy who made Maze Runner.
Oh no!
Which fills me with fear that Tom Holland is going to be Link.
It's going to be Tom Holland or Timmy.
Yeah.
Blonde Timmy. I
feel like I'm afraid that it's going to be Tom Holland.
He's already done a video game movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
Hmm.
Huh. No, I can't think of any. Like they made like early 2000s. They made a Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Yeah, they just made one this year as well.
And not good.
Okay.
I saw it with my my nephews. It's you like 10 minutes in, you can see where it's going.
Oh.
But again, I don't feel I should trash too much on the Mario movie. Because again, like if your nephew wants to watch the end, he can. It's not made. It's made for the kids. It's
That's very
supposed
true.
to be just pure joy. Joy is, not to be offensive, dumb ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So and yes, same with the other ones. It's I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, it's bad when it's literally just a kids movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
have
also
the same thought about Star Wars.
Oh yeah. Okay. There you go. But it's also everyone is allowed to complain.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. It doesn't diminish how much the kid likes it unless you
No.
tell the kid that
Yeah,
you don't
you're
like
wrong.
it. You're wrong. This movie actually sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Paw Patrol movie is actually not that good.
I haven't seen it.
Me neither.
But if you tell a kid that, you're just a bad person.
That's a good takeaway.
You can end on that.
Yeah.
Don't tell kids what to like.
This has been very fun though. We've
It has.
discussed a lot of stuff, and yeah, Dune will always continue to be this extremely enigmatic, mysterious thing in Hollywood. And I mean, in another 40 years, they'll probably remake it again.
Yeah, definitely.
Even in less time, probably.
Yeah. And I'm always going to be grateful for all of the different versions to exist,
Yeah.
which is weird to say about how much remaking and sequels and we have today. But I'm grateful that the book came out when it did, the Lynch movie came out when it did. Jodorowsky's Dune it fills life with conversations and joy and thoughts, and I'm always going to appreciate that.
It'll always be a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for being on.
Thank you for having me on.
Like having me as a guest.
This has been very much fun.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Goodbye.
See ya.
This has been a Bergen Film Club production. Our music is by Wise John. Check them out on Instagram at WISEJohnOfficial. Our logo is by Pia Sofia Brentersen. This episode was produced, mixed and engineered by Joel Lawrence. Our researchers are Inke Schilpkrijben and Mamina Nazmajid. Want to talk to us about films? Then please send us an email at podcast@bergenfilmclub.com. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter @TheRealThingPod. Check us out on Letterboxd at BFK The Real Thing. Thank you and goodbye. Listen, follow, leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts.